friends at home. In this video, I will be doing today's math lesson with you. Your friends in the room are just getting their books open. They are opening up to page 261, where we are going to begin talking about numbers up to 120. Yesterday, we looked at breaking apart numbers with tens and ones. For example, the number 42. We know that it has 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 10 and 1, 2 ones. Now these bars, boys and girls, as we know, those represent 10 cubes. It would take way too long every time we drew a 10 to draw out an entire box and put 10 cubes in it. So instead of doing that every time, we represent those bars of 10 with these lines. So these 4 lines stand for 10, 10, 10, and 10, right? So I know that 4 tens makes 40, and then I have 2 ones here, which make 2. And then yesterday we started taking a 10 and breaking it apart into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 separate pieces. So now we no longer have a 10 here. We have 10 ones. So now we have 3 tens instead of 4 tens. And we have 12 ones instead of 2 ones. Okay, so that's kind of what we were doing yesterday. Basically, we were breaking apart tens instead of building tens, right? So today we're going to continue looking at place value, only just like I kind of showed you at the end of our lesson yesterday where I got into 3 places and then 4 and then 5. We're going to start talking about that hundredths place, that third column when we're counting numbers, okay? So anytime we see one digit on its own, Landon, anytime we see one digit such as 0 or 5 or 7 or 2, anytime we see that one digit, we know that it goes in the ones place. And that makes sense, right? One digit, ones place. Whenever we see 2 digits, we know that we have to add an additional column. So now we don't just have our ones, now we have tens as well. And we know that anything in the ones column is represented with ones. So this would be 0. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And this would be 1, 2. We know that anything in the ones column is represented with ones. Sometimes we use stickers. 1 sticker, 1 number. Sometimes we use straws. 1 straw, 1 number. Sometimes I use these cubes. 1 cube is 1 number. Then when we get more than 10, we move into our tens column. So I know if I had a 0 or a 2 here, this doesn't represent 2 like 1, 2. No. Instead, because it's in the tens column, it represents 10, 20. And again, these bars, they stand for that long 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But instead of having to draw that out every time, we just do the line. And so if it's in the tens column, it's like having a 10 rod or a bundle of straws or a full 10 frame, okay? Now today we're going to look at what if we get to 10 tens? Well, that's kind of a problem because we know that we can only have 1 digit in each of our columns. And so if I get up to 10 tens, I can't put 10 here because now I have 2 digits in that box. So I have to move those 10 tens over to make a 100. When there's a 1 here in the hundreds column, this doesn't just stand for 1 because we have a 0 here and a 0 here, and we know that 100 is what number, friends? 100. And we represent our 100 by putting 10 of our 10 rods together, and that makes a 100. We take 10 bundles, wrap them together, and make 100. Or we take 10 frames that are filled up, and it's one sheet of 100. Okay? So now we have ones, tens, and we're looking at hundreds. Okay? Now, when I look at a number like 27, you can easily tell me 2 tens, 7 ones. What if I were to add a hundredths place on there? What does that mean? Well, what that means is I have 3 hundreds. So I have 3 of these big guys. That's 3 hundreds. 1, 2, 3 hundredths. And then I have 2 tens, and I have 7 ones. Okay? That is what it means. 300. So each of these big squares represents 100 cubes. Each of these bars represents 10 cubes. And then each of these cubes obviously is 1 cube. Okay? So Isaac, what if I had the number, how many ones, how many tens, and how many hundreds do I have, Isaac?
42.
42 ones. Is he right? No, I don't have 42 ones, Isaac. And I noticed while I was giving that explanation with the last number, you were turned around talking to a friend. So you missed the directions, and now you don't know how to do it. So I need you to be paying attention so you can do the work, okay? Yeah, no excuse. Just pay attention, okay? So what does this number represent, Drew?
400.
It's 400. So Isaac, it's 4 of these big 100 blocks. 4 of them. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 hundreds. What does this 2 stand for? Camila? 2 what?
100.
Not hundreds. I'm not in the hundreds anymore.
10.
Noah?
10.
2 tens. And then how many ones? Connor?
1.
Just 1. Okay, let's try another one up here. What if I had 646? What does that mean? Johnny, how many hundreds do I have here? 6 hundreds. That means I have 6 big giant groups of 100. Okay? How many tens do I have? Amelia? 4 tens, right? Which makes 40. And then how many ones do I have? Blake? 6. All right? So that's what we're kind of looking at today. So now, if I put away my handy-dandy whiteboard, and I look at our page for today, it says numbers to 120. So Jose finds 114 shells at the beach. Circle 114. We call that a 3-digit number. Why is it a 3-digit number, Mateo? Because it has 1, 2, 3 digits. You got it. So it says how many hundreds, how many tens, and how many ones are in the number of shells Jose finds. Well, we have 100, so they drew 100 block. You see it there? There's 110, so they drew 110 block. You see it there? And there are 4 ones, so they drew 1, 2, 3, 4 cubes or blocks. Now, do you see when you look at this, 100, 110, and 4 ones, if you were to write that out, 100, 110, and 4 ones, you get the number 114. You see that? You can check by counting in order from 100 to 114. So if you start at 100 and you count 10 more, that would take you all the way to 110. And then if we count 4 more, 111, 112, 113, 114. So you can write the number as 100 plus 10 plus 4 equals 114. 100, 110, and 4 ones are in the number of shells. So our expanded form where we stretch out the number, we have 100, 110, and 4 ones. Okay? So let's go to the practice problems here. If you turn the page to the top of 262, looking at our model here, this is our ones column, this is our tens column, and this is our hundreds column. How many hundreds are in this box? How many hundreds do you see? Drew?
1.
There's just one big 100 block, so put a little 1 underneath it. How many 10 rods do you see in this box, Jacob? I'm sorry? How many 10 rods do you see? Just one 10 rod, so we'll put a 1 here. And then how many ones do you see, Sage? 2. So I have 1, 1, 2. So I have 100, 110, and 2 ones. If I push those numbers together, what number does that give me? Noah?
112.
112. You got it. Now it says start at 100 and write in the missing numbers. So Mateo, what comes after 100? 101, right? And what comes after 101? 102. And then what, Beckett? 103, and then 104, and then 105, and then they have 106, 107, and then 109. Now, the reason why it looks like this is because if we were to draw out in a box, oh, I'm sorry, yes, H. Thank you for catching my mistake. If we were to draw out in our boxes, if this was our hundreds, this is our tens, and this is our ones, for the number 104, we would have one big block of 100, okay? We would have no tens, and we would have 4 ones. So if we were to write that out, it would be 100, 0 tens, and 4 ones. It's important that we still write the 0. Even though there's nothing there, you have to write the number for nothing. You can't just leave it, because if I just put 14, that's the number 14. That's a lot less than 104. So you have to write the 0. Even though it stands for nothing, it's holding that 10 spot. It's telling us there are no 10s in this number, okay? All right, let's go down to the problem solving here. All right, so the problem solving here says find the hundreds, tens, and ones in 110. So if I were to draw this out, 110, bing, bong, bing, I have my hundreds, my tens, and my ones. I would put 100, 110, and 0 ones. So my number would be 100, 110, 0 ones. So there's 100, 110, and 0 ones in 110. You see that? Fantastic. Oh, fantastic. We're going to skip number 4. We're going to go to the bottom of 263, okay, where it says more practice. Looking at the more practice, Isaac, how many 100 blocks are there in this box?
100.
How many blocks are there? Like this. How many big old blocks of 100 are there?
10.
How many? Oh, boy. Am I saying that wrong? This giant box, see this giant square? That's 100. How many of those giant squares do you see? Give me a second. I'm going to help you know what I'm talking about. Watch. Okay, watch. Isaac, do you see how right here there's 100 little cubes? That's 100. Do you see how right here there's 100 little cubes? Now I have 2 hundreds. Do you see that? Now how many of these big squares do I have? 3. So now that I know that, looking here, in this, looking here, in this box, how many of these are there?
2.
You see 2 of these?
There's 1.
Oh, yeah, there's just 1. So there's 100. How many 10s do you see in here, Isaac?
0.
0. Good job. And how many 1s do you see, buddy?
8.
8. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So we have 100, 0 10s, 8 1s. And that equals what number, Isaac?
108.
108. Good job. Mateo, your mask goes on your mouth, not your forehead. Lillian, looking at this box, how many hundreds do I have?
1.
So everybody put 100. How many 10s do I have, Lillian? 1. How many 1s do I have? 9. So Lillian, if I have 100, 110, and 9 1s, what number do I have? 119, right? Austin, how many hundreds do I have in this box? 1. How many 10s? 2.
0.
And 0 1s. So if I have 100, 2 10s, and 0 1s, Austin, what number do I have?
120.
120. Excellent. All right, Connor, Ivan reads 102 pages of his book. Let's circle 102 pages. How many hundreds, 10s, and 1s are in 102? So how many hundreds are there in this number?
100 and 0.
How many hundreds?
1.
100. How many 10s?
0.
And how many 1s?
2.
2. You got it.
2.
This one says count in order from 110 to 115. What number comes next? So if I have 110 here and 115 here, this is 110. What would the next number be? Chase?
102.
Well, it's not 101. Right? Connor?
111.
111. And then 112. And then 113. And then 114. And we made it. I guess I left too big of a gap to 115. So when we're counting by 1s, only our 1s place
111.
goes up by 1. We're counting by 1s, okay? All right, friends at home. We'll see you later.
Bye.